You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 385. That's unbelievable. We Centrion's favorite podcast, Jeremiah Morrell, joined by executive video producer, audio engineer, and the guy that found a way to get us on live video tonight, Mr. Zach Burcham. Welcome.
Good evening.
We have co-host Bones Harcourt.
Howdy, y'all.
And Liberty Defender Sean Rao in a co-host chair tonight.
Hello.
Welcome, gentlemen. What do we have planned tonight? Tell me.
Looks like a lot of tariff talk.
Tariff talk?
Tariff talk.
Tariff talk. We're going
Little Colts.
We're going to war with Canada.
Like to know stock market action
And sassy with Massey. That's what we got planned. There was some talk about I-70 and the potholes, but that's in the Patreon because just how it had to be. We couldn't get clearance for the main show. It was going to be too spicy. This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you, other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. Mr. Bones,
Yes.
who do we have to say thank you to for being a part of the $50 and over club for Patreon?
That fellow over there at Wetzel Ford, Jonathan Phillips.
Yes. And what might you buy over at Wetzel Ford?
Anything with four wheels, sometimes even more.
Get yourself that dually truck to pull your horse trailer.
Yeah. I don't have.
Yet.
Never. Or camper.
Got the Bronco Raptor. Those are
Ooh,
pretty sweet.
Those look bad.
They're pretty sick.
Yeah.
If you've seen a Ranger Raptor too, Ranger Raptors are pretty awesome looking too.
Yeah.
Not quite as.
That's what I'd be looking at.
Anything that says Raptor says you need to take it to Aspen Acres and just go tear it up.
Yeah.
Who else? Do we have to say thank you to this week?
We got Blake Reese over there at Varsity Outfitters.
Oh, I saw Blake the other night. He was outside in his yard doing nice things.
So you were creeping on Blake again?
We live in the same neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
We
Supposedly.
he sees I live at the front of the neighborhood, so he creeps on me daily. I have to go to the very back of the neighborhood to check in.
How do you know you're the front of the neighborhood?
Because there's no roads into the neighborhood by his house.
Oh, okay.
And I live at the far northern end. I live at the entrance to the neighborhood by Main Street.
Oh,
that's his main.
I thought you were just trying to be a little uppity again.
No,
Okay.
I'm at the top end.
All right.
Top end. Someday I'll invite you over. And we got to say thanks to Thomas
been there.
Oaks. You did a show there in the backyard
Yeah.
by the pool. Thomas Oaks, Walnut Ridge RV. Thomas is he had somebody that was in their brand new passport camper, Zach.
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to recognize those because they've changed the color scheme.
They've updated them
drastically since I bought mine. So
they're
they don't
premium.
look
We're
the
not
same.
in the late models anymore. Now my Salem is also not the current edition. When I went through the RV show, they've all changed again.
Yeah, mine stayed. They kept mine fairly similar for a couple of years.
You got to keep up with the Joneses. When Sean buys his camper, he'll have to get one from Walnut Ridge. And
If I ever were to get one, I would get one in Walnut Ridge, but I will not. So
I've told you a million times not.
it's like a little logic problem there for you.
I've told you a million times not to speak in extremes.
Yeah.
If you want no absolutes from us,
But you should.
Patreon.com/BossHogLiberty. You can join at any level. You get a copy of the show notes. You get the behind the paywall stuff. Zach's tort claim and the full legal conversation is theoretically behind the paywall.
Actually, electric's going up. We might have to charge everyone now.
It's only going up if you live in Toronto or if you live in Minnesota, New York, or Michigan, allegedly.
A lot.
We're going to get into that here in a little while. All right. So everybody's favorite libertarian-leaning congressman, Thomas Massey. He represents Northern Kentucky, a lot of the bourbon country, Bones.
He's a grandstander.
Mr. Bones.
He's just a grandstander. That's all he is.
He got called out for being on the wrong side of the president and the wrong side of history.
He got on the wrong side of Daddy Trump.
You guys know who Thomas Massey is? Anybody? If you remember this name?
Yeah, I know the name from being plugged into the wall network.
The wall people.
I've never
I
met him.
absolutely know him, and it seems like he is carrying the mantle of a one Ronald Paul.
He's very Ron Paulish.
And that's one thing as far as the, people call McCain the Maverick, but really, talk about bucking the trends and things like that. I think that Massey is kind of carrying that for the Republican Party. So good for him. I mean, he's an independent thinker. I don't always agree with everything he thinks, but at the same time, he shows he has definitely
Balls.
like the balls, and then also the ability to like think critically about some of these issues. So kudos to him for calling out certain things, and he's even called out the budget and different things too, that he thinks that it's going to add on to the debt in any way you slice it. So I don't think if I were him, I would be that afraid of the primary threat. Elections, we have elections in this country, and it's a good thing, but he got elected for a reason. He's been there for quite a while
He's
now.
been there about 10 years now.
Yeah.
So he's run afoul of the president this time because he was the lone Republican who voted no to continuing resolution to keep funding where it is now,
which
to
passed
fund through the rest of the fiscal year.
He didn't say no and it didn't pass it. He said no and it passed.
Yeah, because
it's just sore loser stuff
with
from
the
White House, in my opinion.
with the margins,
sore winner stuff. I'm sorry.
With the margins they
They're
have,
just
they
sore.
can allow one Republican to vote no on anything, and Massey has been the no vote twice now
They don't like,
in
they don't
major
like
divisive things.
They don't like having a consistent no. They're like, they want to get him back in line.
Somebody else needs to be able to use this no once in a while. God
Yeah.
damn it!
Yeah.
So he was also the big no vote when Speaker Johnson was getting reelected. For the same reason as Massey said, hey, this guy is not shrinking the government. We're not doing what we said we were going to do. And he voted no to the speaker as well at that time. Like 2 or 3 other people voted no, and then they went up and changed their vote on the first ballot on speaker election day so that they didn't have to go through the big charade. But he's principled. So the president has said he wants to have him primaried. And he was on the social medias, on X and on Truth Social or whatever he has, and he was pushing that narrative. He was primaried after 2020 and won handily. So he's beaten it before.
I'm not familiar with his district as far as
It's essentially northern Kentucky, like from.
If you would listen last week, we talked about this.
Oh my gosh. He called me out on not doing my homework.
It's basically across the river from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And then
So it's not like McConnell land. It's like kind of a different.
well, it's like east of
Yeah, East Louisville.
East of Louisville. Yeah,
Yeah.
so anything outside of the Beltway in Louisville, all the
Yeah.
way up to basically northern Kentucky, Cincinnati.
McConnell's area is like Lexington and Louisville
Yeah.
and that sort of area, but he's east of that. Over.
He's north of Lexington, kind of a
Yeah,
thing, and east
yeah.
of Louisville.
Okay.
Still a lot of the bourbon country.
Yeah.
He's got a farm, and I think he represents the Cincinnati airport essentially.
Yeah.
And the bourbon country in Kentucky assuredly will, in one way or the other, struggle under these tariffs. However you slice it, they're going to struggle at least temporarily, theoretically, if not permanently.
I think everyone's going to struggle under these tariffs.
So let's wrap up Massey here. His wife died last year.
Yes.
Um,
He's done giving Fs.
and he was quoted in a story saying he's not worried.
It's not quite.
I
8
don't know
o'clock.
how to say this without cussing. They thought I had no F's to give before. I
No,
definitely
shit,
have.
It's 8:02. Let's fucking go.
I definitely have no fucks to give now. He told the Wall Street Journal.
That's a great quote. When you say that, though, and he says that, and it's like, it's not the angriest, craziest, most batshit thing you've heard this week. It's just like, that sounds like a very reasonable, thought out statement from a guy who's just trying to convey a very simple message. I like it.
The guy was elected. No, but this is not a surprise as to where what his views are, and he's beaten back a trial. Chris Galt was working very hard for him when he got primaried. Galt went down and put the shoe leather in, and he helped keep Massey in office when he got primaried. Is it 22 or 2020? I don't remember which one it was. And they didn't choose a great guy. The fellow that tried to unseat Massey had some
Racist post I saw.
some racism, some minor racism,
Which
minor
is par
treason.
for Kentucky, but
I mean, it didn't help win over
I mean,
there.
it didn't
It
help.
would have helped in Western Kentucky, but Eastern Kentucky didn't care for it. That's it. So Massey's just got the T-shirt. He says it'll pass. This too will pass, and I'll be okay.
And Massey's been pretty consistent against the tariffs because of, for one reason, the bourbon. Am I wrong in thinking
No, it's
that?
very true. It's bad for Kentucky businesses, and Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky
Yes,
as well,
he's
said
acknowledged
this is very bad for my constituents.
right.
And I think that's what you're going to start to see is that Trump got elected on a national wave, but now you're starting to see individual voters and individual constituencies actually have to have members of Congress represent them and their interests. And there are some things that transcend mega politics. And it's like, hey, you know what? Indiana has things that Indiana cares about. Kentucky has stuff that Kentucky has to care about. And the export of goods from your country, from your state, is a really big deal, especially to the people that write the checks that keep you in office.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure that if Rand Paul and Thomas Massey want to get reelected, they probably need Diageo to be in there, to be supportive of them.
yeah, Diageo, Sazerac, Heaven Hill. I mean, all that.
Yeah.
I always, I don't always agree with Massey, but I think I admire the fact he has the courage to stand up for his convictions, especially this time of the cycle where Trump has a perceived mandate to do whatever he wants, to have a Tesla sales event on the White House lawn, to just be like, well, this is gonna. The whole thing about this whole tariff. I know we're getting to the tariff thing, but
We can jump in. Go ahead.
He talks about the tariff as if it's going to make the American economy money, as if it will be a revenue producer, and I just don't. And I'm not an economist. I'm a small town country lawyer.
Just like Abe Lincoln.
I'm just like me and Abe Lincoln. We are so similar, honestly. Me and Abe Lincoln and whoever else in this town. But so the tariff idea is meant to protect smaller countries' local national infrastructure as far as manufacturing, things like that, so that the manufacturing base can grow and they can compete with the larger powers. But we're the larger power that is imposing these tariffs on these other countries. And the only real sense of that would where it would make sense for me would be as if there's like a national security interest of, say, like trying to make more microprocessors or electronics or something like that, where if there's a war with China, where China takes over Taiwan and we're cut off from those things, we have some sort of basis.
We have the ability to fight our way out of it.
Yes.
And the counter argument to tariffs is that we have hosed ourselves in the last 50 years with NAFTA and with the expansion of global trade, that we have started buying stuff on the outside of this country, manufacturing stuff outside of this country, and the good jobs have left. We can't manufacture that stuff here anymore. So now, pickup truck that I have that's sitting outside, it was built in Mexico. Could have been built in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but it was built in Mexico.
And it probably had parts out of Canada, and probably had parts out of the United States.
And the window sticker says that 40% of these parts came from outside of the USA, and then we put it together in Mexico. Theoretically, the tariff would say, hey, if we stick a 25% charge on that, then they're going to build that truck in the United States, and the people of Indiana are going to benefit, and we're going to get the parts from Indiana. The problem is that it makes the truck cost more money.
Right.
If we do that with an iPhone, all of a sudden the $1,000 iPhone now costs $1,250.
Right.
And we can't really make an iPhone in Indiana because we don't have enough children that are willing to put phones together.
No. Same thing with shoes. I mean, shoes are the same way. We can't get kids to hop that glue all day.
No.
So it's global trade. The theoretical side of it is that because we put those jobs in Indonesia, we put those jobs somewhere else, we are investing in those countries, and they get a better way of life than they would have had otherwise. Theoretically, that's what we tell ourselves. That's theoretically what happens.
Mm-hmm.
probably not all perfect roses for human rights
Not at all.
It helps us sleep
over
at
there,
night.
but that's what we tell ourselves.
It's enough to tell us to sleep at night. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because it would have been worse if we didn't make those investments there, Sean. And then we get to benefit from cheaper goods and services. Because if we tried to build an iPhone in the United States, it would probably cost us $3,800. Just like a new computer would cost you $10,000.
Flip phone would be
$3,800.
$3,800.
Sure.
This is the reality of it.
Yeah.
That's why we don't
Right.
make this stuff here now.
But then you put on tariffs on raw materials like steel and
Yes.
aluminum and lumber and grain and those types of things. And that's where it doesn't add up for me in a sort of logical. It kind of drives me nuts where it's like, what is the end game here? As far as like, what does he think is going to happen? Because then the EU is saying, okay, well, you know what? You're going to tax our booze. We'll tax your booze too.
So this was all cute and funny when Russia started invading Ukraine and we stopped drinking vodka. Right? Like they pulled the Russian vodka.
I don't drink vodka
They
anymore
pulled-
for a lot of
They
reasons.
pulled the Russian
but yeah.
spirits off the shelves, and this was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because we still had Tito's available in
Yeah.
this country, and it was fine. That's from Texas.
Yes.
Now it's playing with stuff that Bones cares about,
And you care about,
and
Sean cares about, and
and
I'm a craft beer guy, so but I
so good luck getting.
I care about
luck in your
I
Labatt.
mean, it goes making that beer goes in that bourbon.
So Ontario is the most important province. They're the Canada, or in Canada they're the California or the New York. They
Yeah.
are the powerhouse.
that's
It's where
Toronto.
Toronto is.
That's
Yeah.
It's literally like
Yeah.
from New York to Minnesota is Ontario. It's a
Yeah.
massive place. This guy named Ford is the premier, which is like the governor. You guys may remember his brother.
Yeah.
He was the mayor of Toronto.
I was gonna
Henry?
say-
was.
I was gonna say I saw it last name. I was like, is this
Rob Ford's brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the guy. This is the brother of the late mayor of,
The late,
Toronto.
hold on, the late great.
The late great.
Like,
Thank
definitely
pour,
great.
pour one out for our drug-addled homie. Rob, I think it was Rob Ford.
He was like Chris Farley, and it's sadly he died too. I'm not trying to make
They
light of the
always
guy's
do.
issue, but like he's
They
kind of
always
like a
die
Chris
too young.
Farley type politician.
Bringing it all together. Chris
And then
Farley's-
his
Chris Farley's cousin, it now runs Ford.
there. But this guy seems like he's got it more together, and he's taking no prisoners with this stuff. And here's kind of what I think eventually is going to be. Man, I'm jumping way ahead on you guys on this. Like,
It's okay.
I apologize.
That's all right. I know we're going to get back into it and be here for 4 hours anyway.
Don't you charge by the hour?
What if he just flicks the light switch in July and it's just like, no more electricity for the Northeast,
So-
and then New York City's like in a blackout? Like, what happens then?
Premier Ford has threatened
He has.
that they are going to add in this retaliating. Every day we've had good luck trying to put show notes together because
It's
on Monday the story is one thing and
It's
Tuesday it's another
crazy.
thing, and
It's
what has
crazy.
happened and the threats that have been made have changed every day. But earlier this week, Premier Ford said, I'm going to add a charge on all electricity that we export to the United States. 1.5 million customers, so households and businesses, receive Canada power, stuff that's generated from the hydro plants over in Niagara Falls on the St. Lawrence River.
It's not great power, but it's power.
It's
It's all electricity. It all
maple
turns
flavored.
your Xbox on when you
So-
play
So
Call of Duty.
it gets sent into New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. And the Premier Ford, the governor of Ontario, says, we're going to add a surcharge to this. And the average household, and he said it in the most polite Canadian fashion possible, that the only person we're mad at is Donald Trump. He caused this. We're not mad at the rest of Americans. We love the rest of Americans.
but he started this game.
But he started it, and we are polite but firm. And he said it's going to cost you all about $100 a month until this gets solved, and we're very sorry.
Is it going to get solved when
and-
they become the 51st?
And
state?
if this doesn't go through, fuck you. We're going to shut it off.
like that's like and I'm not an economist either. Like Sean said, it seems like tariffs could have a purpose if they're targeted with a real reason for a long-term plan. And what they aren't, I don't think, is political weapons to use against countries that we're for the most part friendly with, just
allied with.
allied. Yeah,
Supposedly.
and
Okay.
like he's slinging these around with countries that we have built a trade agreements with that have encouraged production across.
Well, I get the
borders.
appeal of the Trump season 1 tariffs with China.
China, I totally understand
where China is in theory an antagonistic country to our country. He put on certain tariffs. It didn't really work. They had to make workarounds with it, but he got to say, I'm tough on China, things like that. That's what I was expecting more, frankly, from the at least the beginning of this
Not a
term.
war on Canada.
Not a war on freaking Canada, which is like all I think. The typical American mind is like maple syrup and hockey, right?
So
Wait till Timbits cost $12 a dozen.
Donuts. But for him to go against an allied country and essentially a form of economic warfare, instead of your typical China, Russia, those types of countries where we kind of sanction economically. I mean, I really don't understand the rationale at all.
do you guys remember the John Candy movie?
Canadian bacon, yeah.
No.
It's turned into a documentary.
Yeah, kind of is. Just we were watching that on Comedy Central as a kid. Yeah,
1995. Michael Moore's got mixed results, but it was a John Candy, Alan Alda,
very funny movie,
Kevin Pollak, Rip Torn movie, which was the sheriff of Buffalo, New York, essentially, was himself starting a war with Canada, and the president of the United States was supporting it.
Very funny movie.
Fantastic.
I got to watch that with my kids sometime this weekend.
And now it's happening.
Yes.
Now all of the things that were these polite little jokes are now actually. This is the most tense we've ever been with Canada in my lifetime.
It is wild.
Realize I have Canadian family, and I was born 2 miles from the border in the town that has the hydroelectric power dam, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is like hitting home for me so hard. Yeah. There are 32 turbines in this power dam. 16 belong to Canada and 16 belong to the United States. We share a dam. It is the border. And that's what we're fighting over.
Yeah.
They're going to be like out there with guns shooting at each other.
It's going to be 1812 all over again.
We're not going to get to a hot war with Canada, but it's definitely going to be a cold / no more electricity.
Don't we? I mean, like
muskets only. It's all we have is muskets.
It's the FA. Well, let me go like Massey here. It's the FA-FO war. You're going to FA. You're going to FO.
Bones, what's what I mean?
What?
First in, first out?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
That's what it means.
Yeah, so we're going to FA, we're going to FO. That's what's going to happen.
This will do Canadian bacon
itself.
So
maybe make it more popular. Who knows?
So bourbon has been pulled from the shelves in Canada. This is what's happened. There are actually the orders. Michter's there's an article we shared that the Michter's family has $135,000 in orders that just got canceled immediately because this got pulled off the shelf.
Let's go through the big bourbon. Like, what are the names out of Canadian bourbon that people drink?
Legally, they can't make Canadian bourbon.
They can't. No.
Okay.
It'd be Canadian whiskey though.
But Canada Club,
maybe.
So it's really about the raw ingredients to make Kentucky bourbon. Is what we're talking about.
Bourbon is by law is an American product.
Yes,
you can only make bourbon in America.
Correct.
So why is it that Massey and Paul are worried about the bourbon?
Because their customers are
most of their bourbon's made in Kentucky.
95% of bourbon is produced in Kentucky,
right?
But the customer base
Canada
is that Canada is not going to buy it.
Yeah,
we pissed them off so bad that they're pulling American. They're
probably the second biggest bourbon drinkers outside of America.
Okay,
yeah, and Canada didn't say, "Oh man, these tariffs." Their pictures immediately they just empty the shelves.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just not going to sell
We're just going to pull Jack
So it's not like, we're going to sell less because they put this tariff on it. We're not selling any in a bunch of these stores because the stores...
Screw you, have Crown Royal.
Canada became very resolved very quickly in how they wanted to deal with this in terms of like, we'll yank it off the shelf. We just won't sell it.
So it's on the consumption side for Canada, not so much getting raw materials from Canada.
No.
Okay. All right.
We're getting the raw materials in glass from Mexico, though.
Yeah.
A lot of the bottles were made in Mexico that now have to be like, either we're going to charge more.
We're going to bring those jobs back to Muncie.
They still have the glass factory there?
No, but we can bring it back. Muncie's problem. Muncie's problem. Here's what happened to Muncie, right? This is why the glass industry is screwed up. Glass is made from what?
Sand.
Do you know where we got the sand from in Indiana?
The dunes.
The Indiana dune. There are dunes missing because we turned it into glass. We made it into insulators. We made it into glass bottles,
Yeah.
whatever. So we pulled that off the Indiana Dunes, which is now a national lakeshore. And then we brought it to this part of the state, which had unlimited, plentiful supply, quotation marks, of natural gas. Gas City, Indiana.
Yeah. Yep.
We used almost all the freaking natural gas making glass. We used the natural resources. We can't make it here anymore. Ball Corporation is no longer based in Muncie, Indiana. They moved to freaking Denver. And they are now an aluminum can manufacturer.
Which
that's right,
again,
Paul.
there's a 25% there
Yeah.
for your craft beer cans.
Yes.
So craft beer manufacturers are affected too on that as well. Even though the consumption here for craft beer is more in the United States, but what you guys are saying is that the bourbon whiskey
Customers.
consumption,
Yeah.
the consumers are in Canada.
Yes. A lot
Makes
of them.
sense because it's
And
so
we're,
cold.
And we're also pissing off Europe.
Yeah.
Europe is also doing this. And Europe is now saying, okay, fine, 200% tariff on your scotch coming into your country.
and then
Coming
Trump's
in
saying
here.
the same. No, Trump's saying that on European ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
My
Scotch.
We're in tit
Jameson.
for tat.
My Jameson that I drink once a year for for St. Patrick's Day is going to cost me 200% more.
Yeah.
This is it's all funny until they start affecting the products that you consume every day.
Yeah. And then now we're in a situation.
Have any of them really taken effect? And like people have seen it? I haven't, because he took some back. He acted like he was saving.
Steel prices have gone up 20% since election day.
So I haven't heard of any of the price actually hitting in consumers yet.
There are think about anybody that lives in southern Alaska, where you are integrated with Canada. So as you're doing trade, as you're building a project, we have set up an economy in this continent where we have to have trade because our partners for getting stuff built, for actually doing things, are across the border. The company I work for sells product that Ontario uses every freaking day to build their roads. Now we got a 40% tariff or 30%, whatever the hell it's going to be, to send that product up there. And then if we want to bring stuff down, it's the same thing. It's not going to, we depend upon these relationships to actually get things accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And we're throwing tariffs in left and right, willy-nilly. And as businesses, we don't know how to function.
And to what end? Like, is this
Right.
going to last for a year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's not like a goal. The goal is, well, his issue with Canada, he claims, is drugs
Yes.
flowing in. How does this help that?
Well, United States citizens are the main ones that traffic drugs in and out of Canada, in and out of Mexico.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's more of an enforcement issue at the border of traffic, United States citizens trafficking drugs for money out of Canada and Mexico. So beef up border patrol, whatever, to try to intercept United States citizens doing this.
So the Canadians are saying that they are fully in favor of renegotiating USMCA, which is the United States Mexico agreement, essentially.
Is this what replaced NAFTA?
Replaced NAFTA. It was
NAFTA.
put in
Which
place.
Trump negotiated.
It was put in place by Trump, and he called it the greatest agreement ever in 2020 or 2019 when he signed off on this.
And really, Biden didn't mess with it at all, as far as I recall.
and it stayed the same. And
Yeah.
now Trump thinks it's the worst thing ever.
Am I wrong that Biden didn't do anything with this?
It's not changed.
I didn't think it did, but I don't know.
I don't think that Biden did a lot,
Well,
honestly.
he drove a Jeep.
He had ice
drove
cream.
like a Ford Lightning.
He got ice cream.
He got ice
Yeah.
cream.
He brought us out of a pandemic, Jack.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, like, in terms of people act like he just. There have been times where when a
The major thing.
administration changes, there's huge shifts in what's
Right.
going on.
Well, that's
I don't
why
think
I'm
he did
asking.
that much.
Biden got the
Yeah.
infrastructure bill,
Yeah,
and that was their major accomplishment.
Just
that
Build
was,
Back
yeah, but it wasn't
Brandon.
like a slap in.
Build back better, B.
Yeah.
Build back Brandon.
Yeah.
And then he did and then he did the greatest debate performance of all time.
And then he pardoned his family, and that was the end of the
and
that was the end of the
They
story.
tipped his hat and he was off into the
Let's go get ice cream in
winds
Delaware,
of
man.
history.
Did I see we were there's tariffs on coffee beans?
I mean, like Colombia and Venezuela, different places.
We don't make fucking coffee
we
beans.
can't.
We
We
can't-
can't.
we
It's
can't
not
grow it here.
possible.
There's a bunch of agricultural. Like, I keep waiting to go into the grocery store lately, and like strawberries have been on sale. And like, these are obviously imported. Like, these are not. I don't know where strawberry season is, but I don't think it's anywhere in the United States.
Plant City, Florida, right now.
in
Florida.
March.
Florida, yeah,
Yeah, Florida.
January, February,
Strawberries.
March is strawberry season, and then but it's like a month.
I'm just waiting for those to come back and like, oh, they went from like $3 a container to like $7 or something. There's like, agricultural stuff. That's how like we get. Yeah, the
That's
produce department is going to get real sketch. It's going to get real interesting if you
the
can't.
two
import
things
stuff.
that are affected, I think, the most are automobiles and produce or agricultural products. So, like things you have to use to make fertilizer. We get certain things from Canada to do.
I have
that.
a list of 539 items
There you go.
that Canada is going to be putting tariffs on, and it is an in-depth list. Walking sticks, seat sticks, whips, riding crops.
my own walking
your,
stick.
God damn. Oh,
your,
shit.
your American riding
My
crop,
fucking Friday night's getting bad.
imitation jewelry.
This is sounding like a bad porn set.
This is off Canada.ca. Angles, shapes, and sections of iron.
You're involved
Yeah.
in the rebar
Oh yeah,
world.
yeah.
so.
It's 100%. It's
So is it iron or steel for you?
steel.
So the steel tariff really is.
Oh, it's 100%. Yeah,
It's a problem.
it has driven the
It's a
cost of our
problem with
product
a
up
capital P.
significantly.
Well, and then I've heard in some cases, I don't know how this works. And somebody call me, but like in some cases with like a car, for instance, because there's
Hand
people,
saws.
people don't know like when they build a car, there's an assembly plant, and then around that assembly plant, within like a 60 to 100-mile radius, is a bunch of plants that make everything that goes into the car. Well, in some cases, those ones are like up in Michigan. There's parts that are bouncing back and forth across the border, and apparently, in some cases, the tariff gets added every time the part crosses the border.
That's exactly
and
right.
So you could have a part that could have this 25% tariff thrown on it 3, 4, 5 times before it gets installed.
It's like a bad version of the value added tax that they have in Europe.
Yeah.
Articles, Christmas equipment, Christmas decorations. They've got the full list here. Golf clubs, golf balls.
Christmas.
Yeah. You can't have your American Santa Claus anymore. 25%. Fishing reels, fishing rods. Oh my God, they're going after the pike.
I hope they come out with a Canadian Santa that's got like plaid on, like buffalo check.
Yeah.
This is their national.
Looking ripped out.
They are
burly.
They are
chopping that wood.
intense, folks.
You know what? And maybe Canada will come out of this okay, I think, because I think they're just like, yeah, we can do this, and they'll do it. They'll figure it out.
So
they have a certain leverage where it's like they do have more of like the raw material
lumber
resources.
Yeah.
unless we're going to start cutting down national forests,
which is what he's saying he might do, which is a travesty. It's a crime to touch any of those four national parks.
Sorry if you wanted those Hoosier National Forest. We're going to start logging it because we're pissed at Canada.
No,
we just put out a new parking lot.
It's
in
a
front of
travesty.
What are you going to do, Sean? What are you going to do about it? You're going to tie yourself to a tree? Yeah.
They paved Paradise, put up a parking lot. Is what they did. I'll lament.
Brown County is going to get logged. We're going to put cornfields in.
Yeah, it's going to be a. Yeah, we got to figure this out quickly.
He's going to get motivated. I said in the group text today, this country was founded on whiskey rebellion.
Well, you said you were founded on whiskey taxes.
Whiskey taxes caused the whiskey rebellion.
And then the rebellion part of it, and then they put them down. So back then they had like bayonets and horses, and now they have like drones and tanks and
nuclear warheads.
This is why there's a certain segment of libertarians who think they should be able to have their nuclear arsenal.
I love it.
It's their constitutional right to be able to defend against this stuff.
Let's get crazy.
Yeah.
The world's crazy enough.
Yeah. At this point, fuck it.
So do you side with Canada in the trade war? Is that what you're saying? Taking away your Americanism?
Don't go against Daddy Trump.
Here's the whole thing about it. This is a whole self-inflicted wound. Like I have no idea what prompted this idea, and I have no idea what will cure this idea, because usually with tariffs, you want like some sort of condition to occur for you to back off on the tariff. And for him, he's talking about fentanyl and different things like that. Canada being the 51st state, whatever. Like there's no clear condition under which that the tariff ends, if it ever will. And then it's just like, well, I love this quote from the White House. It was like, well, the economy is transitioning. And I just thought, well, that's a good thing that something can be trans in America today. So the economy can be trans, but nobody else can be, but
our economy would
nevertheless,
fine.
so forth. But it's very frustrating to watch this, and like you feel like you're going insane because it's like this makes no sense.
It's senseless.
There truly is no sense to it. Where it's like if he could come out and explain a strategic objective,
all right,
for the economy,
I'm gonna try to play,
which he won't.
I'm gonna try to be Trump's advocate for you to explain.
Please do
the 4D chess.
Oh, this is gonna be
great, so
fun.
that you can understand that we are trying to create enough havoc and chaos that we can renegotiate into terms that are that we are trying to set amenable terms for the United States because we are getting a bad deal.
Not the Elon hand
We're
gesture.
getting a bad deal from Canada, Mexico, and Portugal. They are screwing us.
Well, first, let's figure out who brought this deal to us in the first place. And let's deal with that first. Oh, yeah, you fucking did, dumb fuck.
When you're negotiating, saying dumb fuck feels good, but it doesn't help.
No, but
you're not going to get. You're never going to get to be the ambassador to the Bahamas.
I thought that was your job. I was
thinking
thinking
the whole thing about it. The whole project of the United States since during the Cold War was to open up as many markets in as many countries as possible to have this global free trade, to get it away from communist countries, get it away from the Soviet Union, get it away from communist China.
I
get Vietnam away from there so that we could trade. Frankly, we talk about democracy. It was more about trade.
Trade makes us wealthier. And if we are linked in arms because of trade,
yes,
we can't afford to go to war with each other because it's gonna
and we can't afford to let democracy down, whatever we call that, even if it's sort of like a strongman situation. But it makes no sense to. I can understand a tariff on China just for ideological reasons. I can square my head around that. But the idea that you're gonna go to basically economic war with your closest allies and neighbors over nebulous, if any sort of reasoning, makes no sense to me.
What if the reason is he wants isolationism? He truly thinks that the best president we ever had was President McKinley.
He talks about McKinley.
Right,
yeah, I mean, like,
so what if
it's like the only book he read in like the past 3 years was about McKinley. He's like,
well, we got off Johnson.
What if his mind
Jackson?
is,
I'm sorry.
We want to be imperialists again, and we want to expand the United States, and we want to pick up Greenland, and we want to pick up Canada, and we want to dominate North America. And Alaska won't be an outpost anymore. It'll be connected to the contiguous United States. And we make the trade war so bad that Canada has to join the United States.
Well, I hate to sound like sort of lib talking point, but he clearly psychologically at least like appreciates or doesn't necessarily admire. He appreciates Putin. Like he sees what Putin does, and Putin takes what he wants.
He's effective.
And he's effective. And he is unchallenged, and he is universally beloved in that country, quote unquote, even though he's not. And so I think there's some of that to that, where he's watching Putin like go into Ukraine, and he's like, and then he's belittling Zelensky in the Oval. It's just there's something to that sort of theory where he wants to essentially screw all my friends. I'm going to do everything I want to do. But at the same time, it bucks the whole, like, past 75, 85, 90 years of this sort of project of global capital trying to get into all these markets so that I can sell Coca-Cola to Vietnamese people, whether they're North Vietnamese or South Vietnamese, or I can sell McDonald's in Moscow. Because that's been the whole project.
Change hurts, Sean. That's what we're trying to do. We're changing the way we look at the country.
We want to reset the clock back to the 1800s, where I want to be sort of this regional power.
1895, man. Panama Canal.
There's a book on my shelf I'm waiting to read, and I really should have read it before now. And I'll get you the thing for the show notes, but basically it's talking about how like America kind of became a regional power before a national power.
Global power.
Yeah, global power. And so but it seems like he is trying to run the clock back to that era where we're going to build up national infrastructure in his mind. I just don't see how any of this adds up at all, or where it's warranted. Or it's like you're asking, and all these people are going to suffer that voted for him. And I'm not like one of those people like, well, you're a Trump supporter, so you should suffer. Like, no, nobody should have to suffer economically because of Washington's major decisions. You're not charged with that, but it's just I really struggle to understand the rationale at all, unless he's just really trying to fundamentally change the way America operates in the world, which in a 4-year term you can't. You're just there to kind of steward things the way you want to go, and maybe make taxes lower or make it higher, or be more aggressive militarily, be less aggressive militarily. You're driving a giant cruise ship and you're trying to turn it on a dime to go.
You're just trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube, and we're empty.
Some of it he needs like cooperation. Like he should be working with. You have to go work with the car companies and say, do you guys have a plan to like move this production back to the United States? Because they don't.
Honda said they're going to make the Civic in Greensburg, Indiana, instead of Mexico.
Yeah. Well,
we win. America wins. Indiana wins.
He said something about building a new plant. I don't know if anybody's looked at like when somebody builds a new production facility, the cost of those is astronomical.
You would do this incrementally over the course of several years, if not decades. If you want to do it right.
Because you would literally probably do it like with model changes. You would finish a model of a car and then have another facility being built to then be tooled for a new car when it came out, and you might have a production cycle of 7 years
you
of a car.
Hundreds and thousands of employees.
Yes, yeah. And like I said, and you build the ecosystem of like
vendors.
There's a Greensburg plant that builds Honda Civics, so Newcastle has a plant that makes seats, and somewhere around here there's a company that makes the brackets for the seats that get shipped. And so you have this entire ecosystem around these, and so you can't just declare it and then hope everybody can figure out like Honda. And then I guess there's not even been an official statement from Honda about the moving the hybrid. That's like somebody's leaked that, but that's just they conveniently have a facility in the United States that makes the same car, just a different drivetrain. So they're just probably just going to they just have to ship drivetrains from wherever they're shipping them to, instead to Mexico to Indiana. So
I don't know how much of a stomach the American people have with this, and when Congress is going to start actually throwing a fight. When Thomas Massey's not the only voice you see voting no on the Republican side, we're still in the first 100 days. You still have that tribalism that everybody. It truly feels like everybody's just stuck in a trance and can't look past it. But the Dow is down 10% since February. Go check your 401k.
Yeah.
And say I'm pissed off. I'm worth 10-15% less than I was at Christmas. I can't buy my Canadian club anymore. My bourbon is in trouble. And a truck doesn't cost $70,000. It's going to cost $98,000.
That's for the base option.
That's the base model. That's for the cloth seats.
I saw a story that Reuters reported that as of 3 days ago, the U.S. stock market had lost $4 trillion in value.
So when is it? Here's the way I've always viewed the stock market. It is a nebulous, very complicated creature. That if you were to say, "Oh, the stock market went down because Joe Biden said hubbub one time,"
he did,
and he did, and he did hubbub, and it's fine. Everyone got ice cream. Everybody got ice cream. Hey, here's the thing, Jack. Everybody gets ice cream.
Just put on your aviators and remember how nice it was. But
when he hubbubadas and then it goes down like 100 points, to like, well, it has no confidence in him. When the stock market loses value under Trump, it's like, well, we're in again. It's the transition thing. We're in transition. It
doesn't know how to
Our
identify.
economy is trans. It doesn't know if it's male or female. It's just trans now, and it's sort of like it reminds me of like the old days where I always felt like the way economists would look at the Dow is like the way that like sort of primitive people would look at like a volcano. And it's like, well, the volcano is upset with us, and so it's spitting out very hot lava. So it means it's mad. So whatever we're doing, it's bad. And so, and when it's calm, when the Dow is calm or it's making money, it's happy. So we got to keep doing whatever that is.
It's the gods of the Dow.
So we just, it's like, it is like this weird, like animal spirits type of thing that
I do.
Like
I
Kane's
do.
talked about. It's this weird sort of like
What's the sacrifice?
combination of who do we have to sacrifice? We have to sacrifice trans
Elon
people?
Musk. Throw him in the volcano.
Please God.
Apparently
Okay,
chicken,
don't.
maybe some.
You
chicken.
got me too excited about that.
I do want to hear like a Native American.
Somebody get him some cold
talking
ice.
about interpreting the S&P and the
It's
Dow.
It's the same thing. It's like, well, the gods are happy with us because we did X, Y, and Z. Well, the market is happy because we did X. No, it's way more complicated than your finite human mind can imagine. There's all these factors, all this money moving around, all these deals every single day.
Quarterly reports every day.
You got to be a finance bro.
It just, and then we view it. But then when a Republican like Trump is in there, and it is just absolutely catering. It's just we're just cratering into the the earth. It's just like, well, he's changing the economy, so we got to accept it. It's like, what? What are we doing? Like, how do we judge these economic headwinds if not the fact that it's telling us and I'm not an economist, every headwind is like recession. Like, it's just, we're going there. And it's just, and all these economic people are like, keep your money in your stock portfolio because it's going to make me money, but keep it. It's like Jim Cramer saying,
if you sell, Sean, you get hurt. The only person that gets hurt on a roller coaster is the guy that gets off in the middle of the ride.
That's right.
If you sell now, you're locking in those losses.
Buy the dip, baby.
Buy the dip. More today. When you invest today with your 401k, you are buying low and selling high later, man.
Well, that's when I'm going to find the dip and I'm going to buy in because I'm not a big stock guy, but really, like, where's the dip? Where is it where we're going to say this is it? Because it just seems like every day he's announcing a new tariff, and then Europe's a new tariff, Canada's a new tariff, Mexico's a new tariff. And they keep going back and forth where it's just this sort of endless cycle.
Got to run out the clock.
Why would we say 200% on European stuff? Why not make it 500%? Why not make it 1,000%? It doesn't matter. It's all nonsense. It's like childish.
It's like sending a kid to bed for another hour and another hour and another hour. Double it and send it to the next guy.
You know what doesn't make sense? Is being a fucking Colts fan.
Oh, let's go transition.
So the Colts have solved their problem. We've created competition.
I swear to God, we just shrunk everything we just talked about on the big scale.
Anthony
to the little
Richardson.
scale.
Anthony Richardson now has competition. Daniel Jones, who was a top 6 draft pick for the New York Giants. There are so many connections here that Jim Irsay is going to love. He replaced a Manning. He was brought in to replace Eli Manning in New York.
Yes.
Right. Daniel Jones, his college quarterback coach or his college coach, you know who he was?
Help me
at Duke. I know it's a school you don't love. It's a 4-letter word. David Cutcliffe. Do you know who David Cutcliffe is?
First one memory.
Okay, you guys can look him up in the Wikipedia while we're doing this. He coached Peyton Manning at Tennessee.
Okay.
He coached Eli Manning at Ole Miss. And he coached Daniel Jones at Duke. When Peyton and Eli would go do their off-season workouts, they would go down to Duke with David Cutcliffe. So he is the last of the Manning adjacent people that's still playing football. I think that's what Jim Irsay sees in this when they say we're going to bring him in. I can't believe he wasn't here 3 years ago when he was in trouble in New York. We brought in Frank Reich to be the head coach because he was Peyton's quarterback coach his rookie year. When things went to hell and we had to get somebody off the streets, we brought in Jeff Saturday because he was Peyton's quarterback. He was his center.
The center.
We're doing the same thing again where now we've got Daniel Jones.
Well, Reich,
Manning adjacent.
Let me go back to Reich, little Reich apologist here. He was the offensive coordinator on the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, he's not, that was a whole different deal, I think.
I'm just saying that if you have that lineage,
he was
Jim
with Andrew Luck.
Jim likes anything that he can spin and remember the success. And if it can bring it back to it, that's the story he wants.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, at this point, it's like he's watching like highlight videos of like, and he's just pulling people out. Like, look, that guy, is he still here? And can we find him? And it's like, yeah, there's definitely been like this clutching to the Manning era, which is now how long ago?
2011.
That's a pretty far
2010.
stretch from
We are
Manning to
15
now.
years ago.
We can't get out of
him playing
Manning's
in
shadow.
Indianapolis.
Yeah, we can't get out of Manning's shadow.
It was a good time.
I mean, it was a
Well,
great time,
it was a really good
absolutely, but
time.
we cannot move on for some reason.
Danny Dimes isn't the answer.
No,
I
fuck
think-
no.
Listen,
He was
ever.
him.
Listen, Linda.
Listen. Him and Trent were at the bottom of the league.
They
in passing
were,
stats,
but with proper coaching, Baker Mayfield was on the trash heap. He was on the trash heap, and he came back,
That was
and
Cleveland's
he
fault.
is at Cleveland. New York Giants aren't known for being successful lately, except for when Eli was there.
are we comparing the New York Giants to the Cleveland Browns?
Baker Mayfield got rehabilitated by way of the Los Angeles Rams and the Carolina Panthers with Frank Reich, Frank Reich's future team, and he's now a playoff quarterback again in Tampa. I think that's what they're trying to do. Top end of the NFL draft. You bring a guy in, you give him a chance, you give him a place. This could be his team. That's what they're looking for. I don't think it's going to work, but I can see the path that they're trying to go.
I see him pushing Richardson and Camp. Richardson has to win the job, or else you got to move on from him. It's played itself out at this point. He has all the God-given talent in the world. His arm strength off the charts.
There's no doubt he has raw.
He can
talent.
throw a 75-yard pass on a dime. The issue is that 5-yard out.
The guy
That
played
2 yard out to a
13 college football games.
Yes,
That was it.
Yeah.
He was not
I'm
ready.
a huge AR ceiling guy, where it's like he has all the ability in the world to be one of the best quarterbacks. It's just those little things that he has to figure out, and it's really
healthy.
And this year, I really was like, God, he's got to figure it out this year, how to throw like a 5-yard out to a tight end. His tight end group, frankly, sucked terribly. He had an amazing running back. Jonathan Taylor had a great season. His wide receiver talent is a little above average, I think, for the NFL. But I think the Daniel Jones signing is just veteran leadership. Push him in camp, get him to start, get him in line, because he is the answer. If he is not the answer, you're going to get Daniel Jones to win 5 games, and where are you?
Arch Manning. We are setting ourselves up.
You may not be bad enough to be
the next Manning.
You may not be bad enough to be Arch Manning, though.
No.
I'm on this Jeremiah drug train.
You don't understand that they will trade everything.
Oh fuck yeah,
to
they
get
will.
a Manning.
Oh god.
I've watched Arch at Texas, and it's like he comes in to like spell.
He hasn't played yet.
He hasn't
This
really
year,
played.
He played a little.
He played
bit
some
last
this
year.
year.
He hasn't played enough.
When
This will be his year to start.
He'll start this year.
He's going to be the number 1 overall pick. We're going to play Indiana Jones, and we're going to win 4 games. And we're going to have the 5th pick and have
It's like
to trade
Curtis
everything away
Painter.
to move up.
Curtis Painter getting the Andrew Luck pick.
Final thoughts from you, Bones?
He's demoralized now.
I was going to have you hang out with me at Newcastle on Tap, and then you stood me up.
Yeah, can't make it.
You owe me $100 for tickets.
Okay. Take
Or
it
put
out
towards Zach's wheels.
Yeah.
Check Patreon.
I'm demoralized now. I got nothing.
he thought about Danny Dimes too long, and he's just like,
here to
oh.
At least first they run bourbon, and now they run football.
It might be time to kick the chair out from underneath me.
Bones was here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should go to Ohio. You should talk her into a field trip to Ashtabula, Ohio, or Youngstown, Ohio. For that one.
No, she wants to. That's why we're not going.
You could do that 4th of July weekend, come to Mid Ohio, and then go visit that.
No.
Great time.
No.
Great time.
Can I jump out on the track when they drive by? Seems like a non-painful death.
Depends what part of you to hit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you could just find yourself being a double amputee.
I'm going to dive head first, all right?
If you're standing up, you might be,
I don't want a Lieutenant Dan situation here.
You might be
Lieutenant Dan down there.
Although, free ice
You
cream.
might be shrimp boat captain.
Lieutenant Dan, free ice cream.
Zach Burcham, have you had a fun night?
It's been interesting. I'm really waiting to see if the one of the more interesting developments, and Sean alluded to it a little bit,
was it yesterday, the day before? I don't know what day it was. Trump was hawking Teslas on the White House lawn because Tesla stock has been doing well. Tesla stocks, and so I just really want to see if somehow, because I think
Is that legal? Is this
I don't know if
okay?
it is, but one of the things I believe he'd ordered almost immediately too was the unloading of a bunch of EVs that the federal government was using. Like they have some in the fleet. And if anybody knows anything about EVs, they are like mini electrical appliances. They depreciate incredibly. So it's like there was going to be like hundreds of millions of dollars of loss of just value of these cars. And the next thing you know, he's hawking Teslas on the like say on the White House lawn. I'm just like, wait a minute. I'm like, is he going to make like the Plaid, the official MAGA car? Like Sean Hannity evidently bought one and Trump's buying one. And I was like, how bizarre is this? They're like the same people that are angry that Trump or that Biden drove like an F-150 Lightning, which is an electric truck, are now their president's hawking EVs. I just was so bizarre because he had like the whole lineup.
Because the same Republicans are okay with electric cars now.
It's just so
the same guy is this like Goebbels, where he's like controlling his like megaphone of like X, and it's like,
I mean,
it's all because he can control communications.
At least he did. I'll say this: at least he got an S. I think it was a Type S. It wasn't like the Cybertruck. That would have been hilarious if he was hawking a Cybertruck, because those are garbage. Look online; those are not great.
That might have like exploded my brain if he got into the Cybertruck.
Yeah, that was just a real strange thing. Like you talk about, like every day you just don't know what's coming. And I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks like Toyotathon, but with EVs. Yeah. It was so bizarre.
How is Tesla not in Formula E yet?
He doesn't care.
They don't have any motorsports interest.
No. And they're quick. Like they're quick because they have set some. They've done a real quick Nürburgring time, and there's a couple of teams that run them at like Pikes Peak. They're really interesting. EVs are really interesting to see, especially like Pikes Peak, because they don't care about altitude. I don't think he doesn't really care about marketing with Tesla. Honestly, like you don't see too many ads for Tesla. They don't do, to my knowledge, they don't do like press fleets or like press events or whatever. He just is like, yeah, whatever. It's a cult, so he doesn't really have to do much talk with it.
Motorsports news, Zach. Takuma Sato got a ride in the Indy 500 with the worst team at the Speedway again.
Hopefully, he can bring him out of that. But he did fine with. Was he with them last year? He was
with Ray Hall Letterman landing.
Yeah, he did fine last year.
Drive for David Letterman. Won the Indy 500 for him in 2020.
Yeah. Was there not a race last weekend?
Got 2 weeks. So this weekend is the 12 Hours of Sebring. It'll be on Peacock.
That's a Chrysler.
The all drives is Chrysler Sebring. Is that what it is?
That would be
excellent.
That would be so awesome.
No way. 24 hours of lemon.
Wow.
The 12 hours of Sebring.
Somebody call Cletus McFarland. He could make this happen.
Could they find 60 running Sebrings across the country?
I don't know. They just did like a Nissan Altima race.
Yeah,
Cletus did. But
Sebring is an old airstrip in Florida.
Yeah.
And they I don't think they've replaced the pavement since World War II. It is brutally difficult, and they have like 4 classes of cars running for 12 hours.
Yeah, I think it's a wild
bunch of IndyCar drivers. It is an insane field.
It's Florida man endurance racing, because it's
in the dark,
nothing around there, and so
there's a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah,
there's always a Cracker Barrel and a Waffle House very close.
And I saw the IndyCar announce the dates for the Texas race, Arlington.
It's going to be this week in like March 13th next year.
Yeah.
So there's your sports update. Check out Sebring this weekend, and then the following week you have your IndyCar race.
Okay,
Thermal.
So I got 2 weeks.
Yep, this weekend is
so
Sebring.
I don't have to look at that damn app for 2 weeks.
You got a little while.
Trip through the first couple of weeks of the first couple races of the season, and then it gets hot and heavy when the month of May comes.
Yeah, it's going to be nonstop. May, June, July, August is it's
kind of stumble till you get to May, and you're like, oh, race, and then we get going. So
we got the big race in May, right?
Quite big.
Yeah,
we're getting ready to go.
Is that still happening?
The
They still do that?
So
the continuous, most,
honestly, so there's this on the IndyCar side, there's this 3-week gap between the races, and that's exactly why they just added the race in Arlington, Texas. So next year they'll go from not Long Beach, good God, St. Petersburg into the Texas race. So it'll be like a 2-week gap, and then the following week they're probably going to go back to Thermal. I guess they haven't announced that, but probably Thermal and then Long Beach, California.
Yeah, West Coast trip.
Then they go Alabama and Indiana. So it's coming soon. Sean, final thoughts?
Wow. Okay. I called Elon Musk Goebbels. It's only because he did a Nazi salute. So deal with
You
that.
also talked about sacrificing him into a volcano.
Deal with that how you do. If it would make the Dow Jones gods happy, I mean, I'd be willing to do it.
I need a picture of the S&P, and they're all volcanoes, and they're just angry.
Yeah,
We're down to 2 volcanoes left.
Here's the fascinating point: when does Trump turn on Elon? There is a point.
Oh, there is a point.
It's gonna, all of
When
these people are going to turn
is
on
it
each
a
other.
week? Is it a month? Is it 6 months?
And
By Christmas.
We probably got July.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a long.
and
That's a long relationship with Trump.
That's 7 months,
And then,
dude.
yeah, Trump does do that. Like when he turns on somebody, it's not like, oh, this person did great. I wish them well.
It's Mean Girl style. He's put him in the burn book, and
Flip
he's
the
just
switch.
like,
they're the worst person ever. I don't know why anybody would have ever hired them to do anything. Like,
Elon is a fugly skank.
yeah, pull his papers and send them back.
So, no, this is one of my favorite times of the year for college basketball. I'm a big college basketball junkie.
Butler's dead.
My Indiana Hoosiers
It's over.
just
They're going to make the tournament, right?
They scored 59 points today. I'm not happy about it.
I mean, they're going to be probably a 13 seed.
They're saying 10 to whatever, but it's very frustrating. We should be at the top of the heap where it's. Here's what I want.
We got a lame duck coach at IU.
Here's how unreasonable an IU fan I am. National title game every 10 years. Final Four every 5 years.
2002.
Make the tournament every single year. 2002, we made it.
Yeah, you lost to Maryland.
Yeah, we lost to Maryland.
You won
I
88.
remember that game 80 when I was 3 years old. Yeah. So like I think an elite team should be playing for national championship every 10 years, make the Final Four at least every 5 years.
In this century, they are the third best team in Indiana. In this century, they're the third best team.
That's right.
This century is 25 years old.
That's right.
Yeah.
Butler's made the Final Four twice.
Yes, absolutely.
Purdue has made it.
Made the final game.
And they have been continually a number 1 seed.
Yep.
IU has had one run in the tournament.
It has been
Mike
funny to
Davis's
watch them
team.
lose, but yes. But yeah,
this has been a surprise. I expected much better out of Purdue this year and much worse out of IU. IU has been above expectations to be a tournament team. I didn't have expectations that high, and Butler's just.
I kind of checked out about halfway through, and then they
beat Illinois and they beat Purdue.
Gave Purdue a game, and then they beat Purdue at home.
And hasn't IU just been like they're like dead, and you think they're dead, and you write them off, and then they like jump back and they win a couple.
But then they don't.
But then not. There's no consistency.
There's no juice. Like there's nothing going on. So it's like, and they had their year was with Trace Jackson Davis and Jalen Shafino. That year they beat Purdue twice. 2 NBA players. Like that's a rarity for Indiana now to have 2 NBA starters, 2 guys that would be drafted by the NBA. So, I'll lament my IU fandom, but this is a really fun time of year. I love watching basketball all day long. I took tomorrow off. I got to go into court for just a minute, and I'll be watching basketball all day.
Say IU wins, or say IU gets in the 13th seed, and they go to Dayton. Will Sean buy tickets to go watch them?
There's a good chance I might, depending on what I got going on. Yeah,
watch the potholes on I-70.
I'm going that away, so I should be more or less okay.
Have you seen the potholes once you got back in?
I drove to Columbus a couple weeks ago.
Just take 38.
Yeah, 38 to 35.
And then you hop on, and you're almost at the state line at that point, and then it gets real good once you cross the arch.
Final thoughts for me: 13 years of Wall today. This network is 13 years old. So congratulations to Chris Spangle. We're starting to get we're hitting puberty as a network, and it's very exciting. Our voice is going to change. We'll be back next week, Thursday. We are scheduled to have Ken and Rusty Eckstein, formerly of Mount Comfort RV, still involved in the RV industry, and Ken was out testifying before the Indiana General Assembly on some bills over there, and a bunch of changes they're trying to make. Want to hear about that? And Rusty's going to come on and talk about IndyCar fantasy and tariffs, because he is there's a hell of a lot in that world too. There's certain woods that you don't make in the United States.
I was going to say
that go into campers that you just can't have. And I said, Rusty, you're going to come talk to us about it. So
you talked about
more tariff talk next week. We'll see y'all then.